Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
From Dubbo Regional Council, Matthew Dickerson. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for chatting to me and updating your listeners about what's happening in Dubbo.
And, some of the things that are happening is you recently played a joke on the whole community.
April Fool's Day is always a good fun time to have a little bit of fun, and I do like to do an April Fool's Day gag each year, and I do try and have some sort of serious message about it, and this one was exactly that. I put out a media release to say that we're going to collect the DNA of all the residents in Dubbo Regional Council because we wanted to have their DNA on record so that when people litter, when they drop their rubbish, we can test that rubbish and then match that rubbish to the DNA of the person who's dropped the rubbish. You can imagine that some people concerned about privacy jumped up and down, and that was obviously never going to happen. I don't think we'd ever be able to collect all the DNA of everyone from a privacy perspective. But the serious message there was that we do actually get people who do just drop their rubbish. And when we do things like Clean Up Australia Day, it's actually a bit disappointing to see how much rubbish we collect. And so the serious message there was, please just don't drop your rubbish. I see rubbish on the sides of the road, on Track O'Reilly Cycleway, and someone's had to deliberately just drop that rubbish there. So I suppose I'm saying to residents and visitors as well, just hold on to it, keep it in your car, you'll find a bin and then put it in the bin. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it?
Yes, we have a large portion of our community in western areas that, say that they love the country and, take care of the country, but then they walk out of a shop and just chuck rubbish everywhere. It's a big bear on my back. I hate it.
Yeah, and I can't remember, if ever, Rod, that I dropped a bit of rubbish or threw something out the car window. In fact, if I had have done that as a kid, my parents would have stopped the car, gone back and maybe go and pick up that rubbish and probably pick up another 10 bits of rubbish at the same time. It was just easier to hold on to the rubbish and get to a bin and drop it in. So, yeah, I suppose it's one of those things. We want to keep the place looking beautiful. We love the nature that surrounds us. It doesn't really need to have a hamburger wrapper beside all that beautiful nature.
Now there's been some citizenship ceremonies in the Dubbo Regional Council area.
I get a real buzz out of these, Rod. Out of all the places in the world someone can choose to go, they choose Australia, which I think is fantastic. But out of 7.6 million square kilometres we've got in Australia, they choose Dubbo to come and live. And so I get even more excited about that. So we had 33 new citizens. Now, keep in mind that we last did a citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. It's only been 70 days since Australia Day, and we had another 33 people that have joined our community as Aussies. We had 9 people from India, 6 from Britain, Bangladesh 5, we had Nepal, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, Canada, Fiji, Portugal, a whole range of different countries. And it just goes to show what a really multicultural community Dubbo is now. 18.5% of the people who live in the Dubbo Regional Council area were born overseas, and we do see lots of different celebrations in our community where we get to learn about a whole range of different people from different backgrounds and different cultures. So I get a real buzz out of those days, and there's a really good feeling in the room each time we do those because you can imagine people are pretty excited. This is their new home and they're now becoming officially Aussie citizens.
Wonderful for you to be involved in those. Now, does Dubbo and anyone in the area there celebrate Easter?
Absolutely. Easter's a fantastic time. Usually the weather's absolutely spot on, going through from that time frame from summer going into autumn, not too cold. You don't get stinking hot days. So a great time. But talk about some of the events that were on over Easter. I was down at Stewarttown doing some poetry there at the Man from Ironbark Festival. I also went up to Morris Park where they had a couple of nights of speedway, so that was pretty exciting as well. We also had drag racing down at the Wellington Aerodrome. We had a show and shine event with a lot of Toyota vehicles. Golf at the Dubbo Golf Club with an Easter tournament there. If you like fishing, Burrendong Easter Fishing Classic was on. Australian Palouse Pony 40th National Show was on. We had markets that were moved from Macquarie Street because they're too big at Easter time. They got moved to Victoria Park. The list just goes on with how many exciting things are on. It was impossible to get around to all those different events.
And you have a development application before council.
Yeah, one came in just recently for a new medical precinct. Stage 1 of this development was $30 million. there's 5 stages, which if they all go ahead, and I can't see any reason why they wouldn't all go ahead, will be over $150 million. Now, stage 1 is for a 4-storey building with healthcare, GP, specialists, some rooms for consultations, rooms for day procedures there. There'll be pharmacy, cafe, florist, a whole range of things there. Now, this is on Cabora Road. As you're going out of Dubbo, you go across the railway line towards the hospital. Just before the railway line there, there's an old block there that's often called the Telecom block, because many years ago there was a telecom depot, and beside that, or behind that, I remember as a very youngster playing cricket there, so that was often called the Telecom Oval for obvious reasons, sitting behind the telecom depot. It shows you how old that is, because obviously telecom's not called telecom anymore, so that's how old that particular block is and how long ago that depot was actually there. So that whole area there has been looked at for a range of different developments there. I remember Masters at one stage were going to go in there. Masters, of course, was the hardware chain that didn't go so well in Australia, but they were looking at that block. But having health facilities there, it just goes to show you how much demand there is now in Dubbo for ongoing medical facilities. And we do get a lot of people moving from Sydney because it's cheaper, and from around the region because we've got better health facilities here. Shows how many people are moving to Dubbo in their older years, basically be able to rely on those health facilities we've got here.
Now, you have a new superintendent for police in the Arana region, which falls into the Dubbo Regional Council area.
Yeah, that's right. The Arana Command is going to have Superintendent Timothy Chin there as the commander. Denny Sullivan has been the commander. Unfortunately, Denny's been ill, and so Timothy Chin's taking over from Denny. I enjoyed working with Denny. Very nice gentleman, Denny, and I think he did an excellent job there. But Timothy Chin, I'm actually having my first meeting with Timothy today, and we'll get to see what he's got planned for the region. But obviously, Council doesn't control the police, it's state government that controls the police, but our relationship with the police is extremely important, so we like to have a good relationship with the police because we like to rely on them to basically keep our area safe. So that'll be interesting to see what Timothy's got planned for the region.
And listeners to Outback Radio 2WEB would know Tim Chin as the former superintendent of the local area out here.
Yeah, and certainly I've had good reports on the work that he did in Burke, so looking forward to seeing what he can do in our area.
He likes a coffee.
Good, I'll remember that. I'll take one to our first meeting.
He knows all about it. He's a good man. You have a good day. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Rod. Good to be chatting.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.